hope all is well with everyone. Listen, let me get a couple of things together. Y'all know I'm doing some new things here. Got some new stuff going on. And also getting this Instagram together as well. We're going live on Instagram today, y'all. So for those of you all who are always with me, I certainly appreciate y'all being with me. Y'all being faithful. I really do. I thank y'all. Y'all give me a second. I'm gonna get the hang of this watch. All right, let's see what let's see what it does. Let's see what it does. Check. It says I'm live, but I don't see it. All right, so look, because I don't want to hold y'all hostage on here, but this is the learning. These are the growing pains, and it's interesting because we're talking about conflict. Oh, here she is. My guest is here. I'm gonna bring her on in a second, because we're talking about conflict and how conflict helps us to grow. And so I'm having a whole bunch of what we would consider conflict this morning, but it's all good. Because this is what happens when you're stepping out and you're doing something new, you're doing something different. This is what happens. And so I'm still trying to figure out how to make sure this thing is live on my Instagram because I don't see it. Do y'all see it? Because I don't see it. But I'm about to bring her on the stage so that she can be a part of this because I think she's looking for me. Hey, look.
Good,
Good
good
morning.
morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Girl, chat. How you doing this morning?
I am blessed. I cannot complain. I'm over here
I'm
trying to
good.
learn
I'm
how to
great.
navigate this
I was
stuff
getting
over
worried, so I
here.
was having some technical problems here in the office, and I was like, I know,
I figured as much. But you know what?
but I'm here.
I was just telling everyone because our topic is how conflict helps us grow. It would be like it makes sense that we would experience some conflicts as we try to move forward in what we're trying to do
Bad
this morning.
connection.
And
You got me?
listen, you're frozen. Now you're moving. Say something. I see movement. All right, y'all. Listen, my guest is here. Her name is Demetria Harris. I'm so excited that she's here. We're gonna work through these conflicts that we're having. We just gonna press through them. Um,
I
because
don't know
that's
what's
what
going on
happens
today.
when we.
What's the deal this morning? Are you
I
having the
don't
same
know.
kind of
This
morning I'm
is
having?
it's been a little bit of a learning curve for me this morning, but it's all good though. It's okay. I was like I'm
Doing
gonna have to just
something.
go
It's
ahead
been
and
a great
roll.
day in the morning.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely. I'm still trying to figure out how to get my broadcast to go live on my Instagram page. I don't know. But anyway, we're just gonna go ahead and move forward, right? So this is Perspectives with Demira. I'm super duper excited because my guest is Demetria Harris from my hometown, Petersburg, Virginia. If you don't know, you gonna know. And so our topic for today, we're talking about how conflict helps us to grow. So I always like to start off by introducing the topic by introducing the definition of of whatever it is that we're discussing. And so the definition of conflict is a serious disagreement or argument.
I can't hear you.
Let me see. Let me go to my Facebook and see if my people can hear us. Hold on. We're just going. Okay. I think it's on your end. Let me turn this down. Okay, you can hear both of us, sis? Okay. I think it's on her end. Yeah. Um, Let me see. She's having some difficulties. Okay. I was gonna remove her. She's having some difficulties, so I'm gonna just keep rolling with with the definition, and when she pops back up, then I'll bring her back on. Okay. So as I was saying, the definition is a serious disagreement or argument. That's the noun tense. The verb tense is a clash. A clash. And so, when we think of conflict, we always tend to think of conflict as something bad. We think of it as being like a fight with someone. We think of it as being something that is, how do I want to say? Um, Something that you can't come back from, right? When you have a conflict with your friends, especially when we're not mature. I remember when, as a child myself, when I would have conflicts with my friends, it was the end of the world for me. It was I couldn't. How am I going to get over this? They don't like me anymore, right? And as I've grown and matured, I realized that you don't even really experience friendship until you experience conflicts. You can't say that a person is your friend. You can't say that you know a person until you have come to a place where you have disagreed about something. And that's what perspectives is all about. Perspectives is all about expanding our minds. And the only way that we can expand our mind is to have a clash of what we think we know. And this is how conflict will help us to grow. Because if we don't have a clash of what we think we know, then we will stay in that space that we're in, and it becomes our reality. And our reality is definitely shaped by our experiences. And so, and I think about just raising my son, and how you see your experiences, and when you grow out of that experience and then you become responsible for a person or people, and you watch them go through these experiences, and as a nurturer, as a caregiver, someone who wants to see the best for everyone, whoever you are, it's hard sometimes to watch people go through conflicts. We want to save them from themselves oftentimes. So when my son was growing up, I would see him have he would experience some of the same things concerning conflicts with friends, and I would have to talk him off the ledge a lot of times. I would have to talk him through these situations because he didn't have an understanding. And so I had to bring my understanding to him and present it to him in a way that could help him grow. And so, we know sometimes conflict will be the end of something, but sometimes conflict can be the very beginning of something, because everything has a process. And so everything has to grow, and there are growing pains with that. I can't even imagine if we were a tree. I love this example because trees, their roots go deep and they're big and thick. If you imagine your limbs being like roots of a tree and growing and expanding, like physically, if we physically felt the growth and the expansion that we go through, spiritually and internally, if we felt it in our limbs, if we felt it in our body, I can imagine that we would be in pain often. I know that when I would hear this when I was younger, like I would hear this more so with males, but they would say that their legs hurt when they were younger, that their legs hurt. And I would hear older people say, oh, that's just growing pains. It's just your legs growing and it's hurting. Imagine if every time we went through a situation that was causing us to grow, if every time we went through a conflict that was causing us to grow, it hurt. It does. But if it hurt physically, some of us would not even be able to move out of the bed. Some of us would not even be able to move out of the position that we are in. And so we have to relate that to our growing experiences, our personal experiences, our internal conflicts. We have external conflicts, we have internal conflicts. As an English teacher, we teach when we're teaching the elements of a fictional story. Part of the elements of a fictional story will be conflicts. There are different types of conflict: man versus man, man versus elements, man versus nature, or sometimes they say man versus self instead of man versus, so it's man versus another man versus themselves. It's all types of different conflicts. And so you have to be able to recognize what's the root of the issue, right? But conflict, we spend so much time avoiding conflict. If we're avoiding conflict, we have to understand that we are avoiding our growth. We are avoiding our growing process if we are avoiding every conflict. And if you find yourself coming up against the same conflicts constantly, that is a key, that is a sign that you have been avoiding it, because you keep coming up against it. And I like to think of our life process as like a game. One of my favorite games, it still is one of my favorite games, is Super Mario Brothers. Love that game. I just saw a video on Instagram that this family, I guess, they had like 3 dogs. It was 3 dogs in the video, and they'd taken some cups and put them in this hallway. They built like obstacles, and they showed the dogs. One dog jumped over the cups, and each level they stacked the cups higher or in a different order, and they put more. So the first level, it had probably 8 cups or so, and they just arranged them in a way that the dogs would have to figure out how to get over them. But it was easy. One dog, even on the level 1, he came in hard. He jumped. There was just 3 cups in the middle, and then probably like on the side 2 and 2. and he went right through the middle. He jumped. He didn't have to jump. The two dogs behind him, they just stepped over it, right? Then it shows the next level where, and I'm using this because they were actually playing the Super Mario Brothers music, sound effects and things like that. And so then the next level, they stacked more cups, and that same dog came in with the same fervor and jumped. And then the next dog stepped over it again, and then the other dog, you could tell which one was having was facing conflict, because every time he would get to a point in the obstacle course that was creating a conflict for him, he would growl. He was, and they were little dogs, and he was every time he would get there. And then they showed the one dog that wasn't leaping over it, knocking them out the way, right? And so we all have different ways that we deal with conflicts. We all deal with them differently, but the thing is, do you deal with them? Are you dealing with them? Because we have this tendency to believe that we can avoid situations, and if we avoid them, then if we ignore it long enough, it'll go away. If you live life long enough, it'll show you. It might go away for a season, it might go away for a little while, but it will return. And because you can't get to another place if you have not grown from this place. You just can't. So I see my guest popping back up. I'm gonna bring her back on the stage. I'm gonna see if this thing is gonna work out for us. Okay. Again, my guest is Demetria Harris. She's from Petersburg. She's been doing some wonderful things. Let me bring her on and let's see. Demetria.
Good morning.
I think we're rolling now. Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning. How are
Good
you?
morning. I'm good, sis. How you doing?
I'm blessed. Look,
Good.
I was spending some time just kind of building up the topic of conflict. So I shared the definition in the noun form and in the verb form, and I was just sharing some examples of conflict, like when we're young and we're learning how to navigate through friendships, and we have that first conflict, right?
Right.
And it throws us off, and it's the end of the world, and we're going home and we're crying to our parents, and it's like it,
Devastated.
you would think that life was over completely,
Right.
right? And so, but what I learned is I didn't even establish friendships until I had conflict with them, because you don't know them until you understand their perspectives on things,
Right.
right? So before we get
That's
into
right.
all of that, though, I want to allow you some space to introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Demetria. I am a native of the great city of Pittsburgh, Virginia, where I always say, where dreams are born and legends are made. And a poet, spoken word artist. I don't really like to use that title in that way, because I don't think of myself as a performance artist. I'm just sharing the things that I feel with others.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, community activist, host of a few events in the city, and local insurance agent, claims adjuster. I've been working independently for about 10 years,
Yeah.
but inserting myself into the community wherever I feel I can be of service.
Right. And so, how long have you been as involved in the community as you are?
Well, I don't know. I think I can take it back to maybe '08 is when I first started to kind of work in the community, because I was galvanized by the idea of the presidential campaign for Barack Obama. So I
Mm-hmm.
worked heading up teams in the city of, well, working with teams in Petersburg, and then heading a small team in Dinwiddie County, just kind of getting into the community and getting people excited about voting, helping out with voter registration. And that was my first real taste of, being in the community and feeling like I was doing something to make a difference in the community.
Right. Right.
But fast forward a few years when I moved back to Petersburg, and my daughter was in the Petersburg public school system, and just seeing the lay of the land in the city with our schools, I inserted myself into, volunteer work and by way of PTAs, and then establishing PTSAs for Peabody Middle School, historic Peabody Middle School,
Yes.
and doing work there and getting parents to come in, streamlining efforts to make it easier for folks to get in there to be able to volunteer. Because wherever I feel there's a deficit in any way for anything, um, the power is within us, the people. If we can kind of get together, we can do something. We can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So deficiencies never matter as long as the people feel like they're full of something that they can offer to make a difference. So
I know that's
um,
right. I
so
like that.
yeah, so that's where a lot of my energy came from, helping in the schools too, and working around the young people and the other parents that felt the same way that I felt about what we were seeing.
Right. Okay. So I've already told them multiple times that we homegirls from hometown.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the amazing thing about social media, social media has a lot of pros, also has a lot of cons, right?
Yes.
One of the pros about social media is it has allowed us to reconnect with people from our youth, from our childhood, and stay connected in a way that we weren't even, growing up.
Yes.
We knew each other. We interacted with each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was during the pandemic, when the pandemic first hit, when I think you and I kind of, our kindred spirits began to gravitate towards
Mm.
each other. And I would say that we were both kind of finding our like real true like footing.
Yes.
One thing I love about you is that you are a mother in all the sense of the word. Like, y'all, she had a garden. Like, I would call her a farmer. I don't know what she would call
I
herself.
accept it. I accept it. I receive that, Lord.
And she, she would, and she still does, but I think God has been moving her into other things. So she doesn't, I know she still works her garden, but I know she's not showing it as much as she used to. But I would actually get to see her take something from conception, from a seed,
Yes.
and then see it grow. And it
I
was
love
so
it.
amazing to me. But one of the things that I learned about you in that time frame, and now watching you now, is that you are a mother.
Mm.
We would call that an apostle in church. We would call it so many different, so many different names that you could call it. But I believe that you have the gift of taking something
My God.
small and turning it into something big and impactful, right?
Wow.
And so you said, gosh, that's why I said I'm taking notes, but I was a little bit thrown off this morning. But because you said something in reference to that just now when I said, "Ooh, I love that." When you were, it was. Do you remember what you said about something doesn't matter as long as you feel like you don't
Have
even
something to
remember.
offer.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
word that you used?
Yeah. I don't remember the exact word that I used. Maybe I don't remember exactly what I said, but the whole idea is that it doesn't matter what you don't have as long as you feel like you have something to offer.
Right, right, right.
Um, so yeah, I thank you. You're blessing me so much this morning. Because I didn't really know what to expect. And then when you told me the topic was gonna be, I was like, oh my gosh. You know, I'm living in a constant state of, moving through conflicts and, and doing things. So what am I how am I gonna share? What are we gonna talk about? But never no matter what, I'm never lost for words. Rarely am I. And then when I'm speaking to a sister friend, it's just easy to have those conversations. So I said, I trust you. That
Mm-hmm.
we'll just have, a conversation, and whatever happens, it'll be organic.
Right.
And it'll make us feel good. And then the other thing is, I always say that I'm not an alien, and neither are you. We're human, right? So we're more alike than we are unalike. So we always have something that we can share, that we have common ground, and then we can have those things that we are different, and we can learn from each other. So
Right.
the exchange
Amen.
will always be positive.
Right. Right. I get that all the like since I've started doing this, I always get that. What is the topic? Can I
Yes,
prepare?
yes.
And I was just telling my sister as I was preparing for this and waiting, get it trying to I'm trying to get fancy with my display and stuff. So I'm like and my faithful watchers are like my test audience.
Okay.
So I'm up here playing around and I was talking to her and I was saying, I didn't even do perspectives last week because I didn't have a topic. I wait until I hear what the Lord tells me He wants to be talked about. And so I often am unable to really prepare the guests beforehand because I know that it's my heart's desire to be organic,
Yes.
to be authentic. And so too much preparation in in spaces like this can take away from allowing the power of God to move because we are on our agenda. So I want you to just talk to me from the depth of you about conflict. Just what does that mean to you? What has that looked like for you? How have you navigated through that? Even if you share some experiences, just share with us.
Conflict can be anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, that makes you feel uneasy. Can you hear this noise coming from my heater? Is it loud?
It's just a little hum.
You
It's
can
not
hear that little
distracting.
hum?
Yeah, it's not
Okay, because I
distracting.
have, this is my utility closet here at the
Oh.
office. But conflict can be anything that makes you feel uneasy. It could be something that you're finding that's not easy to navigate. Um, I don't really focus on the fact that there is a conflict. As in general, the way that I live my life is that if I recognize there's something that is not okay with me, it's not okay for my family, then I focus more on solutions than the problem. And so that's generally how we function as a family. So, of course, there will be conflicts. There will be things that come that are contrary to where you're going. There's maybe obstacles. It's something that's in your path. We don't really focus on the fact that something has shown up. How can we get around it, get over it, get through it? How can we fix it? And so I focus more on resolutions than problems. And I do not like to think that I accentuate the good. I mean, I do like to accentuate the good because I mean, what are we doing if we can't do that, right?
Right.
But I always like to maintain a positive outlook on the possibility of a thing not lasting forever. So I don't give a lot of energy to conflict.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a lot of energy to it. I recognize dis-ease and then I deal with that. How
Mm-hmm.
can how can we get out of this? How can we make it better? What can we do to resolve the issue?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the focus is not so much on, oh, woe is me. This is oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. Because that is life. I mean, it's full of those types of things, and a lot of times it's suddenly, just like when you think everything is going good, here's this
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Right.
where
Right.
where did that come from? Everything was going great.
Yeah.
So then I go into a mode of, okay, this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to acknowledge this thing has happened, and now it's showtime. What we're going to do to make it better.
Right.
So I don't really know if that answers the question, but that's really my honest to goodness approach to handling conflict is to
That
start thinking
definitely
about
answers the
solutions.
question. I got a couple of things just from that. You said you acknowledge it,
Yes.
right? So before you came on, I was talking about how sometimes we spend so much time trying to avoid the
Yes.
problem, we think we can get around it,
Yeah.
you know. And sometimes you do kind of, it looks like you're getting around it, but then it comes back,
This
right?
is true. I
So,
experienced in my early 20s
mhm.
when I was young in my faith that I would say I would just kind of try to disregard a thing. I didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I covered it up with like my faith and my spirituality and not really dealing with what has happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I thought I was doing fine. And to quote Mecca, another homegirl, she made a comment on one of my Instagram posts recently, and she said the body keeps the score.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, I didn't get a chance to really respond to her the way I wanted to because on social media it's like touch and go.
Yeah.
But I that did resonate with me in such a way because I remember in my early 20s, Demira, I was just like, I am his chosen one. I am the one, honey bun. Okay. Nothing can harm me. I cannot be rocked. I mean,
Right.
that's how I just thought that, Jesus' baby sister. What you gonna do with me? Who gonna check?
Who gonna check me, boo?
Who gonna check me? And but things, happen, right? And I wouldn't acknowledge the thing. I was just trying to go about my way business as usual, and the body keeps the score.
Yeah.
One day, I remember speaking to a young lady at work, and I had all these things going on. I'm not dealing with them. I'm just trying to act like it's not happening, right?
Mhm.
And I remember saying to her, twice I've had something like this happen. It made me realize, made me who I am today. But I remember saying to her, just in general conversation, girl, I am so stressed. We're talking, and out of my mouth came, girl, I am so stressed. The first time I acknowledged that I had been living with some stress,
Right.
this stressful time, and tears. No, everything flowed without being too graphic for the audience,
Mhm.
but everything, like my cycle,
Right.
everything
Right.
flows. We have to keep ourselves open to the possibility of all things, the good, the not so good,
Yeah.
the not so great, the beautiful,
Yeah.
acknowledging all the things and knowing that just because these things happen, it doesn't diminish our value. We're
Yeah.
still awesome, we're still loved by God,
Yeah.
but to live in a state of always acknowledging the present. This is
Mhm.
what's going on, you
Yeah.
know and yeah, I have tried, but I've matured beyond that. I've matured beyond that. I know how to sit with myself. I know how to sit with my sadness. I own all of my things,
Mhm.
the sadness and the happiness. I own
Right.
all of it. It's all mine.
Right.
I know what to do with it. I know who to give
Right.
it to.
Right. Oh, that's so good. I mean, really, like even leading up to this, to today, as soon as God gave me the topic,
Mm.
the conflict came.
Wow.
Now, there's conflict every day.
Wow.
Like you can't go a day without some sort of conflict, whether it's big or small, or you know what I
Right.
mean. Like you said, it's just an obstacle, a problem. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's all about your approach.
Yeah. I had conflict. Okay, you're getting online this
It's all
morning.
about how you deal with things. That's what I'm saying. But this to me, this is how I know that we're in the right vein, right?
Okay.
Because when God says a thing and then you do it, you begin to go forth in it, you're going to be faced with some adversities. You're going to be faced with some obstacles. That's just life. Do you
Right.
really want the end goal? Like, what is it that you want out of this? If you are stepping into, like, okay, you have started doing your poetry nights, right?
Right.
When you started, then tell them about it.
What's the word?
About
Wednesday.
yep.
It happens every third Wednesday. We've taken a break. Our last show was in November, and then we had a holiday party that was kind of spontaneous. It was an opportunity to like have a toy drive to support a local community activist who collects toys every year. They have a toy parade, and so it was an opportunity to make a contribution to her efforts, and
Mm-hmm.
also like a prayer being answered kind of quickly, that I wanted to have live musicians associated with my poetry event.
Yeah.
And when that was able to manifest itself unexpectedly, I said, "Y'all ready? You want to have a show? You want to, and that's how the December show happened. But what's the word? Wednesday is something that was placed in my spirit 20 years ago that I didn't have the guts to do at the time. And I've always been a writer. I've written for others. I've done a lot of writing for other people. I've always written for myself and kept them nice and secret in my books, in my journals. And when I did start to go out, maybe 20 years ago, to share, there's this long running poetry series. It's called Tuesday Verses, and I would kind of dip into Tuesday Verses, and then I started to share. But at the time, my oldest child, she was a baby, and that's on a Tuesday. And I'm a mother. Like, where am I going on a Tuesday every Tuesday night? So
Right.
I wasn't able to share in the way that I would have liked to at that time.
Right.
And so when I started to, as I'm getting older and experiencing different things, I'm really serious about the things that the Lord has given me, all the gifts. And I had to think to myself, who am I serving by not sharing the way that I feel like I want to share?
Yeah.
And then plus, I'm very dramatic anyway in my in my everything. Like, I need a place to put all of that, because that's not going to work in a insurance meeting or talking to a group of truck drivers. Okay,
No.
we'll have some problems. I need to have a place to put all of that.
Right.
And also, I feel like the environment is calling for a high vibrational thing. And I feel like if we can come together, and, and right now it's just once a month, I was
Mm-hmm.
just testing it to see if it was possible. Like, can this even happen?
Yeah.
Where are the artists here? Let
Yeah.
me try to connect, because I've been disconnected.
Right.
And then you have to deal with your mental that says, girl, you missed that window of opportunity. That was dropped on you 20 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tide has turned. What you gonna do, right? And so I just went one day and asked a question, and the answer was yes. Let's try and let's see what we can do at the venue. They just allowed
Yeah.
me to come in, and every month since July of last year, we're almost packing out the space. It's been free. I haven't wanted to ask for anything from the community, because I just want the community to have a space to come together. We're
Yeah.
holding space for each other. We are creating something that's high vibrational and positive at
Yeah.
least once a month,
Yeah.
right? We can come together and get all excited, get happy about sharing our ideas, or sharing or celebrating somebody else's skills, maybe dreaming about our own things that we want to share. And we can take that with us to work on Thursday.
Yeah.
And we can take it back into our communities. And maybe an extension of that will be, you know, um, your positivity shining outward. We are
Mm-hmm.
feeding one another. And
Mm-hmm.
so I remember at the first show, I'm nervous every time. I am nervous every time. Anytime you've ever seen me like stand up to do anything, I'm always like, oh God, come.
Wow.
But I do it anyway. I do
Right.
all the things feeling some kind of way.
Right.
I've learned to, if the Lord has given it to me, then I'm okay. I have it. I must have something to share with someone,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna get out of my own way to share. And so every month we get together at What's the Word Wednesday. The next show is coming up actually on the 20th of this month, and we have some comedy. We
Okay.
have some singers. We'll have some live music.
Yeah.
There's good food being served over there at Traditions Wings and Grill.
Mm-hmm.
So the environment is just nice. We've been having a good time, and the support is coming from all over.
Yeah.
Um, I had a gentleman say the first show, he said, I met somebody here that drove down from Virginia Beach. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But people are traveling and they are wanting to see something different, you
Right.
know. And since we started, there's other things bubbling around here too,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
coming alive in this city that we know is a city full of greatness and a city that I definitely love. The people of the city. We grew up. This is a city that nurtured us and raised us. It looks a little different now than it did when we grew up, but the
Mm-hmm.
essence of the people, we're still here.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
so the poetry is really just a way for me to start connecting more to the community in a different way. Is for me a form of activism. It's a
Mm-hmm.
form of resistance
Mm-hmm.
because where you say, "Oh no, not there," I'm like, "Yeah, right there.
Right
Why
there.
not?
Right. Right.
Greatness, greatness, greatness all over the place.
Yeah.
We just have to tap into it."
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And so I heard internal conflict because I wanted you to talk about that because I know that that's something that you just really stepped into. You just, as you just stated, and I know that there had to been some type of conflict even moving into that, and you shared that with the internal conflict that you
yes,
had because you were like, oh, you missed that,
yes,
that door closed, but that lets us know just because we get a revelation of something or just because God reveals something to us in our 20s or shows it to us in our 20s or speaks it to us or however it
yeah.
shows itself doesn't necessarily mean it's for that time.
That's right.
Because look at how it has just been. I mean, and I haven't actually been there, y'all. It's been my heart's desire from the day. If you know anything about me, even if I'm not there, I'm sharing it, I'm supporting it, I'm
Yeah,
cheering you on.
yeah,
Um, just because of me being a caregiver for my mom and so active, like at the same time when that opened up for you ministry began to move for
yes,
me, and so haven't been able to get there, but trust and believe I'm showing up, and when I
yes,
show up I might just share myself
yes.
because I write
Absolutely.
poetry as well. And so when we get off of here, I'm actually going to I'm stepping out and doing more with putting my book out there in the community, and it's poetry in my book. And so
Yeah,
you know
you know what? You're right. Your ministry, you started to take off in ministry around the same time that I started doing the poetry, and
absolutely.
it was like that time.
Yeah.
But I am so proud of what you're doing and how you stepped into your whole self, still stepping into the fullness of who you are. It's such a beautiful thing to see, and you're so radiant.
Oh,
I
bless
mean,
you.
oh, you're so beautiful doing what you're doing.
Thanks, sis. That's what
Yeah, I love
I feel like we're so kindred. You know what I mean? That's how for me I pay attention to things like that. I pay attention to movement and when people are moving in the same timing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That lets me know that we're connected in the spirit, right?
I love
Because
that.
we were birthing each other when
Yes.
the pandemic happened and you put that group together,
Oh, yes.
and you were like you were tapping into people's like gifts that you saw, and you were like,
Yes.
hey, listen, you want to come on and do some working out on these days, and I tried. I think I did like two sessions or whatever, and then life just was life, and
Right.
wasn't able to stay consistent, and but I was like, it's no coincidence that movement started flowing for both of us in
Wow.
our fullness
Yes.
at the same time. I don't overlook those things, right? And so when I ask God, who am I? These conversations, perspective is it's for the people, but it's about me. I'm not even going, you know what I'm saying? These are conversations that are filling. You
Yes.
know, there and before we can feel others, we have to be able to feel ourselves, because people get the overflow of what we
Mhm.
have. If we're
Yes.
giving them, if we're not giving them the overflow, here comes the word that you said, the depletion.
Yes.
If we're giving them what's in our cup before it's full,
Yeah.
then we're depleted. And we're
Yeah.
wondering why we're walking around drained and unable to tap into our fullness. That's because we're trying to feed other people and we
Yes.
haven't even nourished
That's
ourselves,
right.
right?
That.
We have to. People think that that's selfish, but it's not. You
Yeah.
have to. You can't take care of anyone from an empty. You can't give anyone water from an
That's
empty
right.
cup,
That's right.
right? So I mean I'm loving I'm gonna go to this to the comments. I have my phone up because
Oh, you
I'm
have
still like
comments? Oh my
it's
goodness.
comments on
Okay.
Facebook, right? And so I'm seeing someone say evolution. My sister Minister Seward, she said it's evolution, and that she's proud of both of us. Evangelist Sarah Seward,
Oh wow.
she's proud. She's proud of both of us. You know, we are faced with conflict on an everyday basis.
That's
I
right.
think what I want the community to know is we can't avoid the conflicts.
Right.
We tend to build these boundaries, because I know you said that you know when you said the body keeps score, that Mecca said, you know, one of these days, you know, maybe she'll grace me with her presence on here too. You know, she stayed booked and busy. But she said that the body keeps score. We're carrying our conflicts, our traumas, our so on and so forth, right? If we don't let it out, if we don't find that space where it belongs, it's going to come out one way or another.
Right. That's right.
Right. And so
Right.
that's what I learned from what you shared. And
Yeah.
so I hope that this has been a blessing to somebody. I know it's been a blessing to me. I hope it's been a blessing to you, Demetria.
Absolutely has been a blessing to me. I'm going to tell you that a talk like this is something that I was supposed to do a long time ago too, and it's beyond my comfort. It was just beyond my comfort zone.
Mm.
And so when this is the first time I've had a sit down where I'm not navigating, you know, the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of following your lead,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a space that I'm not really, you know, familiar with all the time because I am the one that does like come, let's go, let's do this organizing.
Yeah.
And so this has been wonderful. I want to thank you for the invitation to share
Absolutely.
this morning. Um,
Absolutely.
it was just such a delight to be on this morning and spend some time with you. It's been 40, it's already been 40, what, minutes? 40 minutes
Yeah.
or 48
Yeah.
minutes?
Yeah. And despite the
Feels like a
obstacles,
blink.
right. That's why I said it happens so fast, and I'm like every time I have a guest, I'm like I want to have you on again because I don't feel like I got to talk like you know to the fullness of it or whatever. I do want to say this. I'm learning to be comfortable in who God has created me to be, and one of the things I've learned about myself is that He uses me to bring people out of their comfort zone. Even though I struggle with stepping out of my comfort zone oftentimes, this is what this is really about. And it's
Yeah.
always people who are already like leading. It's leaders. That's you know, I think we're all leaders to some degree, but I mean people who are out, you know, already out doing things, you know what I mean? And so for you to say that to me, blesses me because it lets me know I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be,
Yes.
you know, doing. And so, do you have a poem that you can share before we go?
Oh, you did tell me to have a poem, didn't you?
I said, you know, if you feel it, if you feel like it.
Okay. Uh, hmm. Okay, I'll just do one.
Okay.
born of a water sign, bearer of the water, not fully understanding the things that resonate with my soul, keeper of joy in hard times, joy that I can hold in my heart as vast as an ocean holds water, daughter of a people that have relationships with the land yet to be found, bound by the norms, but freed by the inquisitive spirit that delights in mysterious things. What truth flows through the water, sending healing, placement, and order, like the rain covering the land with the promises of fruit, the promise of provision, the promise of filling oceans, rivers, lakes, and streams, to make fresh, to make clean, to make bountiful, to make holy, the one that truly knows the beginning of time because it was here, is to speak to me. I would carry your hopes and your dreams with me. Your desires are safe here, running through this land, through clay and sand, through rock and trees, creating the landscape that it wants, going into the areas that need it. A force, sometimes a force to be reckoned with because it can move mountains or make deep, a tranquil spirit, a lull to sleep, a shower to awaken, or to a new you, to quench the thirst of those that feel barren in a dry land, that traverse landscapes in the heat of a life that always feels like summer, hot and humid, needing the cooling waters. Hold your cup, hold your cup and dig real deep to fill it up, springing from the wells, bubbling within you, bubbling even higher until you fill that cup and it runneth over.
Wow.
This is for the keepers that are respectful and cognizant bearers of the water.
Mm. Do they still snap?
Oh yes, you can
Okay.
snap. And you know what? That poem, that was longer than what I wanted to share, but a few things that you touched on today were in that poem.
I know, I heard it. That's why I was like, I don't know if you saw my face. I don't, because I know most of the time when you go into certain words I hate saying, but performance mode, right?
Yeah,
You
right.
kind
I
of
know.
you
I
kind
have.
of like black out, like you don't really you see the people, but you don't. But I was
Yes.
smiling like this, and then I was like, I leaned in. I'm like, she's
Yes.
saying stuff.
That you shared today. Yes.
You We have to rise above our conflicts, no matter
Hmm.
what. And when the poem, and then we're gonna go ahead and end the
Yeah.
poem. All I thought about when I was thinking about water is cleansing, and then you in life, right?
Yes.
Oh, I don't even have words. Like,
Yes.
oh, that was the perfect poem to end us off with, because our topic again was how conflict helps us grow.
That's
We
right.
cannot grow if we're avoiding things. We cannot grow if we're empty. We cannot grow if we don't find space to be replenished, to be cleansed, to be renewed, to be restored,
Yes.
to be fed, all of those beautiful things. And so, again, I just want to thank you so much for accepting the invitation without hesitation. You were like, I'm there, despite the fact that you said this is a space that you're not used to. I'm not even going to say comfortable in, that you're not used to yet.
Right.
But
Yes.
please understand that I see big, like,
Mm.
the growth that you are experiencing in your life is the same growth that you are bringing to the spaces that you're in. As you are growing, you're leading other people into growth. And for me, that's the most beautiful thing, because if we're not helping people be better, then what are we doing?
Right.
If our experiences are just for us to be uncomfortable in and sit in, then what are we doing? You know what I
Right.
mean? So again, thank you so much. And don't be shocked when I ask you to do something else. We talked though. We talked about on the phone when you first were talking about
Yes.
doing your
Yeah, that's
poetry
right. We
thing.
did.
We talked about that we were going to be doing some things together. I didn't know what that was going to look like, and I still,
Right.
it's not the fullness, but
That's
I'm
right.
so looking forward
Absolutely.
to it. So
Yes.
looking forward
Thank you
to
so
it.
much. God
I
bless you and
you
everybody
too.
watching this morning. Have a wonderful Saturday. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yes, love you.
I
Thank
love you
you.
too, sis.
All right, you guys. Thank y'all for watching. Peace and blessings to everyone. I love y'all for being so faithful and coming and supporting and watching me through my hiccups and my learning growth and all of that. So y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday, as she said. And we're out. Peace and
Peace.
blessings. I want to go out with my. I want to go out with my loop. I'm still here, y'all. I want to go out with my loop. Let me see if is it showing. There we go. Did y'all see that? All right, y'all. Have a good one.